You see him all over the TV. He's in the middle of everything that's happening on the Hill. Representative Raja Krishnamurthy joins us. We're so happy to have him back from the great state of Illinois, of course. Good morning, Congressman.
Hey, good morning. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm good. I know you might have to go take a vote to save America or something less important than my show, but I will stand by. All right, there is a lot you're right in the middle of, Representative, I want to talk to you about. So you tweeted during our Oversight Committee hearing, FBI Director Wray revealed the FBI was involved in the leak investigation where the 2018 DOJ secretly subpoenaed Apple for data on members of Congress. We need to get to the bottom of what U.S. officials knew and when. Thank you for that. I keep saying, do you trust Director Wray? I don't know whether it's just anybody that was appointed by Trump I am suspicious of, but not just the DOJ stuff, but answers on January 6th. Where are you on Director Wray and the answers you're getting?
I found his answers to be evasive, honestly. I think that he was very halting in his answers. He admitted that the FBI kind of was definitely part of the leak hunt. What my biggest concern is that he knows a lot more than he was letting on. And this whole secret subpoena scandal, if you will, is something that you'd expect in Putin's Russia, not the U.S.
Yeah.
Really what happened was, in my opinion, is that some folks were trying to gather dirt. In Russia, they call it kompromat, but it's basically dirt that they were trying to gather on their political enemies to try to use it as leverage for later and to try to intimidate them, whether it was Adam Schiff, my chairman on the Intelligence Committee, or our staff or family members, or it was Don McGahn, then White House counsel, who refused to cover up the fact that Donald Trump wanted to fire Jim Comey. So this is very troubling, and I found Director Wray's answers very, very problematic.
So what do we do about that? I mean, because you also talked about what do you call it? You said Director Wray said during our Oversight Committee hearing he could not rule out foreign actors funding January 6th insurrectionists, especially with evidence that white supremacist group leader present at the Capitol had received $250,000 from abroad. Very concerning. And obviously the fact that he didn't know that Parlor, this far right outfit, had warned the FBI 50 times about concerning violent things on their platform, and he was not aware of that?
I think that Director Wray, unfortunately, was not forthcoming. He kept trying to me, shift the blame or responsibility to others. Not only did Parlor inform the FBI of all these threats, but field offices were surfacing these threats in various forms. And, basically what Director Wray said is, well, we passed it along. And basically what they ended up doing was emailing it to the police in Washington, D.C. and the U.S. Capitol Police. And you would have thought they would have done more. They would have picked up the phone. They would have, basically, followed the leads a little more closely instead of expecting others to do their job.
Well, yeah. And you went right to it, the heart of it, Congressman. I've seen you on TV and on Twitter. You said it's frustrating that we learned of these secret DOJ subpoenas of members of Congress from Apple rather than the DOJ. The seizing of data of politicians should not be occurring in the United States of America. Obviously, Merrick Garland and the DOJ knew about this. It's only because of journalism that we know. So what is your take at this point about Merrick Garland?
I think that, honestly, Merrick Garland has some explaining to do. He needs to clean house. I have the highest regard and admiration for Merrick Garland. However, either he knew about these secret subpoenas and didn't tell us as he should have when he came into office or shortly thereafter, or he didn't know, and he doesn't know about a lot of other things that are happening in the DOJ, which is problematic in and of itself. Either way, the Biden administration needs to really take charge of this Justice Department and instill confidence that they are going to turn a new chapter, turn a new leaf in the history of the DOJ and FBI, because, quite frankly, a lot of people have lost confidence over the last 5 years in the justice system.
Yeah, well, and you said I'd like former Attorney General Sessions and Barr to testify before Congress regarding these secret DOJ subpoenas. When will that happen? Because I'm tired of hearing Democrats threaten, Democrats say they're going to. Why are we? When are we just doing this? When are we doing this? Having them, yeah.
It's a good question. I think Speaker Pelosi now is trying to figure out the right venue for doing this. I think the Senate Judiciary Committee is already talking about bringing them in soon. Leader Schumer and Senator Durbin said this over the weekend. So I expect some movement soon, but we got to hustle. The other thing, you didn't ask me about it, but I just wanted to mention it because I'm bothered. There are two things that bothered me in addition to the secret subpoena scandal, information about Wray from the hearing. One is we know that foreign sources are providing support and even financing to domestic violent extremists or far-right extremist groups. In the hearing, I pointed out that $250,000 in Bitcoin was deposited in the account of the head of Groypers, which is a really weird name, but it's actually the name of a white supremacist group that was present at the insurrection and actually breached on that day the Capitol. The second thing, and we're just not doing enough to prevent cryptocurrency and other forms of financing from going into their pocket. That's the first thing. The second thing is that Director Wray made a big deal out of saying that we've arrested 500 people who breached the Capitol that day. It turns out there were about 800 to 1,000 who breached. So why haven't we arrested the rest of them, and why haven't we prosecuted more of them? Because if you go to the dark corners of the web where these people, these alt-right and white supremacists inhabit, they think they won on January 6th. They think they got away with it.
Good point.
That has to change. That has to change.
Good point, because then it's a training exercise, and they're getting ready to do it again when Trump's not reinstalled in August or whatever the latest craziness is. By the way, you also made a great point. You said the big tell showing the Trump DOJ subpoenas were politically driven fishing expeditions is the fact that staff in the personal offices were targeted in addition to the committee staff, obviously including minors, right?
This is craziness. So your listeners already probably know this, so I apologize for repeating this, but each of us has a personal staff. So these are people that answer constituent questions, help with policy issues, usually specifically related to our district and constituents. And then we also have staff on our committees. So let's take Adam Schiff, for example. He has a large intelligence committee staff, and then he has his own personal staff, personal office staff in California and in Washington. And what happened here is that it appears that personal office staff were targeted with regard to this collection effort from Apple. And then the worst part was that family members were targeted.
Yeah.
And, obviously in my case, if they targeted me, they'd probably get a hold of a bunch of goofy TikTok videos of my sons. But, I think that...
Plus, it's awfully hard to spell your last name, so it may take them too long. They would give up by the time they get through Google.
Yeah, exactly. They'd have to go through the entire alphabet to get to my family. But on a serious note, this is stuff that you see in Russia all the time happening, or Xi Jinping's China. We've got to put a stop to it right now.
Yep.
In the United States, and that's why what Director Wray said was so troubling, because it also begged the question: what were you thinking? What did you say? Did you raise a concern? Did you say we can't do this? Why didn't you put a stop to it? Because he's a very intelligent man, but I fear that in the Trump years, people just lost their ethics and lost their morals, and we can't tolerate that.
Well, and also you made the point that we still need answers from those prosecutors involved who are still at the DOJ. I mean, so in terms of Merrick Garland needing to clean house, I mean, that is Okay. By the way, got to get your take on the big breaking news. Affordable Care Act survives the third Supreme Court challenge as a case from the Trump administration and GOP-led states is rejected. I got to tell you, what does it feel like every day, though, just to feel like our democracy, our health care, just hanging in the balance by a thread, right? By a thread.
I think that I have two observations. One is I think the Supreme Court and other courts know how popular Obamacare is now and the Affordable Care Act is. I think it's a recognition that, messing around with it would, deeply disturb kind of the consensus now that much of it is needed and vital for people's health care. That being said, we get tons and tons of expressions of concern when these court cases happen. So many people have been helped. So many people are in the process of getting helped through the Affordable Care Act. And so when they see these things, you can see how it would shake their world. As mom or dad or a son or daughter or yourself are about to get surgery or something, and maybe it's a cancer surgery or something that's life-saving, and then you read this, it adds to your concerns and shakes the mental health and well-being of the entire family. So in any case, I'm going to keep fighting for it. I think that we're going to be able to continue to build upon the success of Affordable Care Act, and we have to.
Yep. You, by the way, speaking of health, you tweeted, "You want life to go back to normal, get a vaccine." Mm-hmm. Thank you. Got to get real quick before you go. You've tweeted about the 21 Republicans who voted against awarding the Congressional Gold Medal to police officers who responded to the insurrection. You saw the latest story yesterday. Who is your colleague, the GOP Congressman Andrew Clyde from Georgia? Oh. He's the one that said that this was a normal tourist visit. He refused to shake Michael Fanone's hand, who ran into him at the Capitol yesterday. Okay. And this is the guy, by the way, he said to call it an insurrection is a bold-faced lie. And so he was the one that was pictured screaming his head off and helping barricade the door on January 6th. And he would not shake Officer Fanone's hand yesterday when offered.
It's appalling. It's revolting. I think of all the words in the thesaurus that that are synonyms. But I think most of all, it's politically, it's craven what they're doing over there, kowtowing to these interests that, are very dark and dystopian and undermine our country. And they're just coddling them, they're accommodating them, they're cultivating them. And that's dangerous because as you saw on January 6th, when you do that and you encourage them, they become violent.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I fear we're going to see more of. I fear that January 6th, the insurrection did not end, and that's something that dogs us every day. And I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to do everything in my power to prevent that from happening again.
Thank you. And doesn't it all, just before we end here, come full circle with this Putin meeting yesterday? I mean, right. Putin is just like your Republican colleagues defending the insurrectionists. I mean, it is, and you have a lot of your right-wing friends openly rooting for Putin against President Biden and repeating Russian disinformation about the Capitol riot, or it almost you almost would have to play a guessing game. Who said this? Was it Ron Johnson or was it Vladimir Putin? Right?
Exactly. I what can I say? I think that I think Biden held his own in his meeting with Putin. I wish that everyone here would watch Biden's back and get his, support his position. Yeah. I certainly am, and we're going to have to bolster our positions on Russia.
Yep. I always enjoy your visit, despite the number of times I've lost a game of Words with Friends because of your last name. But you are a great patriot, sir. Thanks for always taking time for us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Take care.
Thanks so much, Representative.